Good morning. Welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve, and today is Monday. Today, we are going to be talking about the statement that's come out in reference to Tchouaméni from Real Madrid. Apparently, the Real Madrid president came out yesterday saying that Tchouaméni is not for sale. Not for sale. So that tells Manchester United, you're going to be wasting your time if you come in for him. He's not going to be sold. So put your interests elsewhere. And I think that's exactly what we should do. Unless anything actually changes over the period of the summer, I think we can quite safely put a line underneath Tchouaméni. Yes, he would have been a nice player to have got, but realistically, I don't think at the end of the day, he's going to be one that Manchester United can do at least certainly summer. So I think we have to move on to our other targets because wasting time on what might be is not really good enough. Because obviously you could then miss out on somebody else along the way because of the time you're spending on somebody that's not going to come. So yeah, I think it's absolutely right that now that statement's come out that we do move our interests to our other top targets. Before we go on to those, I'd just like to mention about the Marcus Rashford scenario. Obviously, we've spoke about it before. Barcelona, they've pulled 69.3 million, I think it is, out the bag to buy Gordon from Newcastle. So they've quite clearly got money. They've obviously been playing games with Manchester United. Initially, when they took Rashford at the beginning of last season on loan, it was with a deal at the end of it for £26 million, €30 million, and they were happy enough with that agreement that was put in place at the start of last summer. So now they come out and they put in a bid for Marcus Rashford at £13 million. Do they think we're absolutely stupid or what? If I was Manchester United, I'd turn around and wait until the 15th of July when Barcelona have got the opportunity to activate that buy clause of 26 million. And if it's not put in, I'd just turn around to Barcelona and say, right, he's coming back. We've got other suitors that will pay the money for him because it is coming out that Bayern Munich are possibly interested in him. And I've actually heard that there's one or two Premiership clubs that might also be interested in him as well. And we could possibly get more money for him. But I think it's an absolute farce. What is Marcus Rashford thinking? Is he at the back of this, or, if you can get it cheaper, I'm happy enough with that, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But realistically, if I was Marcus Rashford, I would be looking at it in the sense of they only value me at £13 million. So that's not saying that, they really like me or they really want me. They're just trying to get me for next to nothing to keep me as a bench player. And realistically, with a bit more news coming out today about Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough of being of interest to Manchester United with the Michael Carrick links. Hayden Hackney's got 1 year left on his contract and he's valued between 15 and 20 million pounds with 1 year left on his contract on the basis that he's had no Premiership experience and he's coming from the Championship League. So realistically, for a player like that to be valued between 15 to 20 million with no Premiership League experience, I think he's about 23, maybe coming 24. And Barcelona have got the neck to offer 13 million for Marcus Rashford that, has won trophies throughout his career. And, he's the cause of Barcelona winning their domestic cup and the league this season. and they've got the neck to come out and offer £13 million for him. I think it's absolutely crazy. And as I say, if I was Manchester United, I'd just wait for the deadline clause to come, which is the 15th of June, and just notify Barcelona we're not accepting no silly bids. The bid, what the offer was, season-long loan with £26 million at the end of it, and you're throwing insults to us. So we're going to now bring him back, and as I've said earlier, we've got other suitors that are interested in Marcus Rashford. And realistically, I think that's what Manchester United ought to do to show to the rest of the football world that we do mean business and we're not going to be messed about. But will Manchester United do that or not? Will Manchester United and Ineos give in and go with this season-long loan that they're trying to get again? Or will they agree on a fee somewhere between the 13 and the 26 million? That remains to be seen. I hope that Ineos stand the ground and say, well, are you going to pay the 26? And if Barcelona say no, take him back. It doesn't mean to say we've got to integrate him back into our side, because I don't think that Manchester United want him back on that basis, and I don't think Marcus Rashford wants to come back anyway. But Marcus Rashford will have to realise that if Barcelona are not prepared to pay the 26 million for him, then he's got to come back so he can be sold off elsewhere, and whether he keeps saying, I only want Barcelona or I only want Barcelona, he can't force Manchester United into doing a silly deal to get him off the books. And he's got to realise that if Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or anybody like that came in with a £26 million plus bid, then it's got to be taken seriously, and he's got to go. As simple as that. So that's where we are with the Marcus Rashford scenario. Other talks coming out today about Tonali at Newcastle, that he's still quite highly of interest to Manchester United, and I believe previously his transfer fee has been mentioned as to be round about the 87 to 90 million pound mark. Now, realistically, if Tchouaméni's off the table, and as I said earlier, I think we should take that as read and move on to other targets. I think Tonali has got to be the next target, to be honest. And I'll tell you why I think he should be our next target in a few minutes. But Tonali at that sort of money, I'm sure we can get it down a little bit and, sort of put add-ons back onto it to build it up to Newcastle's liking. But when you relate Tonali to the likes of Baleba, now Brighton have previously said, albeit they haven't set a price for Baleba, they have said anybody comes in and makes any bids that start with a 5 or they start with a 6, they will not be entertained. So that's saying to me that it's 70 million upwards. Now, why would we want to go and pay 70, 75, or even pushing towards 80 for a player like Baleba that's had such a bad season that there's no guarantee that if he comes to Manchester United that he can turn on the style of football that he'd had in the season before? To me, it makes no sense at all. And if that was the case, you cannot class Baleba at that sort of money as our marquee signing for the replacement of Casemiro. No way on God's earth can that be done. So I would rather go, if that's the case, and you could get Baleba for sort of 75 million, I'd rather go the extra 15, 20 million, including add-ons, and bring in Tonali that is more of a hit the floor going player, ready to go, and is what the United fans want as well. So he's the sort of player that we can bring in, marquee signing. He's going to replace Casemiro, and he's going to hit the ground running. We know he'll hit the ground running. So the sooner Manchester United get into talks with Newcastle, because I believe that Tonali has favoured a move to Manchester United. So that gives Manchester United a green light in the fact that they know the player wants to come, which is what they like. And the sooner Manchester United now get in touch with Newcastle and start negotiations on Tonali, the better. There's no point in sitting back, waiting a number of weeks because we don't want to pay wages till throughout the period of July or the end of July. This deal needs to be done, because if we don't do it, somebody else will come in and snap Tonali up. And then where are we going to go? Elliot Anderson today has flown out with the England squad to go to the England camp. So unless something's being kept under wraps, that's quite clear that Elliot Anderson hasn't yet made his decision as to whether it's going to be Manchester United or Manchester City. But all the reports and rumours still going round Manchester City are quite strong. But also Manchester City, there's a lot of rumours going around again that their 115 charges is going to likely to be dealt with in the coming few weeks. So is this why Manchester City in the January window went out and spent big on Semenyo and Gowie, so that they've got, the main players in that they would want in, knowing that these 115 charges are coming up before the new season kicks off? And is this another reason why Pep has actually gone with, the fact he'd still got a year on his contract? So all these things have got to be going round in Elliot Anderson's head. So for me, if he still chooses to go to Manchester City, not a lot we can do about it. But with all that pending, if I was a football player of his status, it would certainly be ringing alarm bells in my head, and I would have to be having second thoughts as to whether I went there or whether I think I would be better off going to Manchester United. But it's looking like, obviously, because he's flown out today and no decision's been made as yet, as far as we know, we've got to assume that Elliot Anderson is going to take the time throughout the World Cup. And then once World Cup's finished, it's looking like that he'll then probably enter into more negotiations with either Manchester City, Manchester United, or both clubs. But that's leaving it too late in the season for me, for us to hang about for our marquee signing, because if that was the case and you were leaving it that long, it's not giving us much time if he does choose City to replace him, and by then Tonali and so forth may well be gone. So what would we do then? So I think we've got to go for Tonali while the iron is hot, and the opportunity is there for us to do it before other people start moving on him. So Ineos, if you're listening, which I doubt very much that you're not, but now is the time to make a move for Tonali. Let's get it concreted that we've got a deal in place with the club and player, and then, we can look at, getting his signature probably in the new financial year, which then suits you better. But I think we do need to start moving on him. Likewise with Fernandes from West Ham. There's little bits of rumours coming out that Arsenal might be preparing to move on him, as well as PSG and so forth. So realistically, if he's a player that Michael Carrick wants and Manchester United want, then I think we need to start moving on that one quickly, because we can't take the chance of these players being snapped up and then we're picking up, third, fourth, fifth choice players that are not really going to put us at the level that we want to be. And that has obviously got to be guaranteed Champions League football again next year as a minimum. And if we get a trophy, domestic trophy throughout the season, that will be a bonus, but it's got to be a minimum of Champions League football. I'd just like to thank everyone that has viewed previous videos and obviously subscribe. So please continue to smash a like on the videos and subscribe, because we are trying to build a community. And obviously, if we get any breaking news throughout the course of this week in reference to any of the players that we're interested in, we will obviously go live on that and let everyone know. But obviously, that is pretty much the news over the last couple of days. Wasn't really a lot going on over the course of the weekend, only a lot of rumours. But now, as we're into the first working day of a new week, then hopefully things might start to move a little bit more now, and we might start to get a little bit more concrete clarity on various things and players, and hopefully we can do. So please smash a like on the video, please subscribe and share the video, and obviously I'll speak to you again hopefully very, very soon. Thank you very much.